What a funny noise it's making.
It's talking to us. All engines talk.
What's it saying?
It's saying, chitty, 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 bang, bang. Chitty, 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 bang, bang. Chitty, chitty, bang, bang.
Chitty, chitty, bang, bang. Chitty, chitty, bang, bang.
Hey folks, it's Rob from Rob's Movie Collection, and this is my entry in the Genre Files category, Family Movies. They've kind of stopped with this now, doing these. I'm a bit late. I'm actually a week late, and they've kind of stopped doing it. But I hear they're going to come back. I hope so, because I would love to do like a sci-fi or fantasy one, which they didn't get to. So, but anyway, my choice for the genre of family is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. This movie is from 1968. It was directed by Ken Hughes, written by Hughes and Roald Dahl, the writer of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda, BFG, among others. It's based on a novel by Ian Fleming. Now, those of you who don't know Ian Fleming, I'm sure if you collect movies, you probably do know who he is. So there's probably very few of you who don't know. But just in case you do not know, Ian Fleming was the creator of James Bond. He wrote the James Bond novels. I guess he was, at the time he wrote this, he was kind of tired of doing James Bond, and he decided to rest and write something else, and we got Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the novel which this movie is based on. Now, the movie itself, it was produced by Albert Broccoli, who also produced many of the James Bond movies. There's a lot of little connections to James Bond in this movie. His daughter, I believe, Barbara Broccoli, is also doing the modern-day James Bond movies. The film stars Dick Van Dyke as Caractacus Potts, an inventor and the father of the children in the movie. Hey, what can you say about Dick Van Dyke? You know, he's Dick Van Dyke. He is a national treasure, as the cliche goes. Very talented and just great to have in this movie. You can hear some crows in the background there. Yes, I've had to start this tape 2 times because of all these background noises, but I'm going to keep going now. He had done Mary Poppins, of course, and the makers of this film wanted him for this movie, and they kept offering to him, and he kept turning it down, and finally he said yes, thank goodness. It also stars Sally Ann Howes as Truly Scrumptious. What an awesome name there. The part had been originally offered to Julie Andrews because, of course, they wanted the pair from Mary Poppins, but she turned it down because it was too much like Mary Poppins for her. And Sally Ann Howes had been she'd been on Broadway, and I think she had actually done My Fair Lady, and so she accepted the role, and she was fantastic in it. She's just great. She's very talented. We also have Lionel Jeffries as Grandpa in the movie. Lionel Jeffries, I remember him from a movie called A Trip to the Moon. I believe it was Trip to the Moon, yeah. It was a Ray Harryhausen film, with his special effects and his monsters and that sort of thing. He always played this befuddled kind of scientist. And it's funny because in researching this movie for this video, I found out that Lionel Jeffries was actually 6 months younger than Dick Van Dyke, and he was playing his father, but I guess because he went prematurely bald, he used to play a lot of older characters that a lot older than himself. But he's just great as Grandpa, and he's fantastic. Also, James Robertson Justice as Lord Scrumptious, Truly Scrumptious, his father. He's the maker of the candies and the owner of the candy factory. And Benny Hill as the toy maker. It's always fantastic to see Benny Hill. I love Benny Hill. I know a lot of English people don't seem to like him very much for some reason, but we dumb Americans sure do like him. And eventually I'm going to do a video on him too, because I have some of his DVDs. And we also have Robert Helpman as the evil child catcher. Now this guy was really great. I always remember him from when I was a kid. He plays this evil kind of guy that catches children in this fictional country they go to, and he does this little dance when he tries to lure the kids out of hiding, with lollipops. He's incredibly creepy. But this guy does such a fantastic job. I guess apparently he was a dancer, he was a ballet dancer and stuff, and he has this prosthetic nose on in the movie, and he's just great. I always remember him, and I'm sure if you've seen this movie, this guy comes to mind right away. As the aside from him as one of the bad guys, we also have Gert Frobe as Baron Bombburst, the leader of this fictional country, which is called Bulgaria, by the way, with a V as in Victor, rather than a B. And Gert Frobe, who of course is another connection to James Bond, who of course played Goldfinger, and it's so funny to see him in this movie, just being all funny and goofy and over the top. He was also in, I believe he was also in Those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines, which I have to do also a video of. But I know that in Goldfinger he was a German actor and he didn't speak English very well, so I know in Goldfinger he was dubbed into English. I don't know if that was also the case in this movie. It may be, but I'm not sure. But he was just fantastic in it regardless. And Anna Quayle plays his wife, Baroness Bombburst, and they have this little number that they do called Chuchi Face, in which they do this kind of sweet thing where they're kind of calling each other little pet names. It's really kind of overly sweet. But the funny, hilarious thing about it is that the whole time he's trying to kill her. He's just trying to offer. He's dropping, heavy furniture and chandeliers on her, trying to kill her, and keeps missing the mark all the time. So it's a very, very funny number. And of course we have Adrian Hall and Heather Ripley, who portray Jeremy and Jemima, the kids in the movie, the children of Dick Van Dyke. And lest we not forget the star of the movie, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang herself, the car. It's a beautiful car. This car was actually sold in 2011 for $805,000 to Peter Jackson, of all people, of Lord of the Rings. It's one thing to be a collector like us, but with movies and little things like that, and Funko Pops and whatnot. But when you got money like Peter Jackson, then you can really collect. So, Anyway, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, if you haven't seen it, it's a children's film. It's about this family. Really, it's kind of a love story between Dick Van Dyke and Sally Ann Howes, and with the children. Of course, this is a musical, and the songs in this movie are done by the Sherman Brothers. Now, if you don't know the Sherman Brothers, well, you probably actually do know the Sherman Brothers. If not by name, you've probably heard many of their songs. They did a lot of songs for the Disney movies, Mary Poppins, aside from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, The Jungle Book, so many to name. It's just, these guys were the guys. I mean, a lot of the songs that you know that from your childhood, these guys wrote it. And including their most famous song, It's a Small World, which is in all our brains forever and ever tattooed in there. So, there's actually a documentary I saw recently called The Boys, the Sherman Brothers story. I would actually highly recommend this. It's very well done. It's a good documentary. It's a good story of their time at Disney and their career in general. I have this movie on DVD. It's a little bit shabby, which makes me think, I don't remember, it makes me think that I probably bought it used at my used bookstore, just to have it in the moment, because I didn't have it yet on DVD. And I ultimately want to get it on Blu-ray, because this is actually standard format. It's not even widescreen. This DVD edition comes with this nifty little insert. You guys know how much I love inserts and little booklets and such, and so I'll probably keep it just for this, if anything, even after I get the Blu-ray. I, of course, have been watching Chitty Chitty Bang Bang since I was a little kid. For the longest time, I thought it was a Disney film. It kind of has that feeling to it. But I've been watching it all my life, ever since I was a little kid. It was one of those movies that we used to watch together as a family. And it just always stays with you. Of course, you get to those teenage years where you're kind of like, well, too cool for school, and now you like that stuff. It's children's stuff. But then you kind of grow out of that, and you realize, this is not just a movie for kids. It's actually a well-made movie, and it's got a lot of great numbers and musical numbers and all that. And it's a fantastic movie. It's perfect for family. I don't have kids, but of course, everyone around me has, started to have kids and nephews and nieces and kids of friends, and whenever birthdays would come around, and of course I give movies to everybody because I'm the movie guy that everyone knows. This is one of those movies that I would always reach for and say, oh, the birthday's coming up, I'm going to get this one because this is a good movie. It's a family film. It's got good songs. They're going to like it. And so probably all these people that I know, the kids all have a copy of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I hope they've watched them because I give it to them because I recommend it because it's such a wonderful film to watch. So if you haven't seen it, hey, you know, what are you waiting for? Go see it. Go to the store, rent it, buy it. Better yet, and watch it. It's a great addition to not only the family film genre, but it doubles as musical genre as well. And it's got a great cast, a great story, and look at that car. Isn't that fantastic? Beautiful car there. For those of you who like the old-fashioned stuff and the steampunkish kind of stuff, you can go in that direction too. So that's it for me for this one. It's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for the Genre Files family. And I hope they pick this up again. I've had a lot of fun doing these, and I hope to do future ones. And in the meantime, let's do some other stuff, see what happens. All right, so see you next time, and as always, keep watching those movies. See ya.